Mr. Mayor, on the storm, you said, and you probably fielded a couple of questions about this, but I feel like it's worth getting into again. I mean, you've described the results as unimaginable, and there were weather forecasts predicting record rainfalls. We know that with storms because of climate change, you have storms that move more slowly and drop more concentrated rainfall. And we know that there are flooding problems in some of these Queens neighborhoods. So, how can you say that it's unimaginable? I mean, to what do you attribute this kind of lack of imagination on the part of the city government?
Well, Michael, look, we're going to have to do things very differently. That's the bottom line. Because we had a history of how we handled different weather events. Then we saw a few weeks ago a record set for a single hour that did not set off the kind of impacts we saw in these last days. And that was with a hurricane, when Henri, that came right at us. Here we had, and I would just contest part of the way you framed it, we had Ida coming up from Louisiana, crossing across the interior of the United States. I spoke to Administrator Deanne Criswell about that. No one's seen a scenario like this where a hurricane goes 1,000 miles plus across inland and still has the kind of impact to set the all-time rainfall record. No, that was not projected. And the impact that could happen in such a brief period of time, we haven't experienced that. What I think we have to learn from this, because it was not, I mean, you saw it up and down the eastern seaboard. All localities thought they were dealing with something different, or we would have been providing an entirely different approach. We've done it in snowstorms, for example. We would have done it here. The bottom line is we now know we cannot get sufficient projections. They don't exist. And we're going to have to overwarn people and provide a very different approach. We have a task force we're putting together that's literally going to assess everything the city does in terms of extreme weather and reset the entire equation. We're going to be talking to people in serious potential events, any serious potential event, about travel bans, about mandatory evacuations. It's going to be an entirely different language and an entirely different set of assumptions. So I've looked carefully at what the projections were on Wednesday morning. They were not for the all-time greatest rainfall in our history and the kind of impact we would have had. If we had had those kind of projections, we would have done things very, very differently, obviously. Go ahead, Michael.